There it is.
Hey there, guys. Welcome to the brand new podcast, All Day Both Ways. You've got Andrew Hall here at Andrew Hall FF on Twitter. You've got Jordan Rains at 50 Shades of Drunk. Jordan, how you doing this morning?
Dude, I'm doing good. I'm on my first pot of coffee. I've recently went down to one pot a day. Big mistake. So we're getting the first
Oof.
one in early, going to the second one later, the morning and the afternoon edition. I'm excited. NFL all day is something that's been kind of around for a little while in my periphery. Been focusing on the fantasy community a lot, and I was in the NFT space a lot over the last 2 years. But never really hit that cross section until I started talking to you about it, and you actually sent me my first pack of moments, and I remember opening them. I remember getting them. That was a great feeling. It was awesome. It meant a lot to me, and I appreciate it. And since then, we've talked on and off about NFL all day, and we just kind of decided, we should talk about it more publicly facing. So here we are.
That's right. That's right. So I'm very excited too. I think this is going to be a good ride. I think it'll be a fun time for us to discuss this new project. And obviously, a lot of people listening to this, they may not have any idea what that is. We'll get into the NFL all day stuff in a little bit and explain more about that. But before we do that, we want to talk a little bit about what we want to do with this show. So, obviously, by the name All Day Both Ways, we're talking about this on two different sides of the coin. We're talking about both ways, both offense and defense. We're talking both fantasy and all day. We're talking both utility versus value. We're talking speculation versus collecting. Like we're talking about all these different sides. We're going to talk about it both ways, and we're going to talk about it all day. Let's be honest. But the whole point of this too is to just bring people into this space. I think both of us have a ton of people that we know in fantasy and that love football and are football fans and want to be better football fans. How can you be a better football fan than by owning the moments you're watching on the screen? You can literally own those moments in a digital platform through NFL All Day at NFLAllday.com. You can actually go buy these moments that you're watching. If you go to a game and you have a really great time, you can go home and after that game, a couple weeks usually it takes them, they release packs of those moments. And one of those moments might be from the game that you were just at. So you can go buy that moment and actually own that moment. There are a bunch of great historical moments like OBJ's The Catch, really hard to get, really exclusive and expensive because, again, it's a hard to find moment. That was a crazy moment. Some of the other moments you might find, you might find Saquon Barkley for $3. You might find Baker Mayfield for $2. These different guys. So there's a whole bunch of different ways you can play this game. And we just thought it'd be good to bring some more info to this and kind of come from someone who, like myself, I've been in this space for over a year and almost a year and a half now, really, since the initial beta launch. And I loved it. I mean, if you've ever heard of NBA Top Shot, this is the same thing just for NFL. And I think as a football fan, I always loved the idea of Top Shot, but it never really, I don't know, it never really got me. It wasn't my thing. I don't mind basketball, but I don't follow it. I follow football, and I've been doing fantasy for 20 years more. And so
Mhm.
it's easy for me to kind of understand the plays and understand the game. Now I can actually own it. So I'm pretty excited about this project. So I guess with that, Jordan, was there anything else you wanted to mention about why we're doing this on your side? Like what, as a fan, what are you looking forward with this?
For me, it's really about, like you said, being a better fan, finding another way to engage. What is fantasy football? It's something that layers on top of real NFL football, and it's a way for us to engage and be better fans and know more about our teams, our players, our coaches. And that's a personal thing, whether you like a guy for whatever reason. Maybe you went to school with him, maybe he's an alum or something, or maybe that's a, financial reason. He's on all your best ball teams or whatever. Or maybe it's your grandpa's football team. He was a Miami Dolphins fan, and now you're like rooting for them. Whatever it is, you're fans of the game. And the best way to engage, there's different ways you can engage in that. You can go to games, you can watch the games. But with the digital world, now we can play a game on top of that with our, community of people around us, our friends from high school, our friends from college, our friends on the internet. We can collect these moments. If you saw a moment live, maybe that moment doesn't mean a lot to somebody else, but maybe you want to have that as a memory of something that's accessible to you now. And I think it's interesting that, the thing about digital assets and all of that is it's very new. So people are kind of like, well, what does it really mean? Is it going to be useful? You know, it really depends on you. I mean, like if you think it's worth something and you could gift it to somebody, like I said, that interaction where you gave it to
Yep.
me, like that was a meaningful interaction, and maybe it cost you a lot, maybe it didn't. I don't know a lot about it, but that still meant something. So it's another way to interact. If you have a friend or a nephew or a niece or a uncle, get him a cool little moment, maybe just do something a little different. It just opens up new doors, like you said, to be a better fan, to connect with people, to see who has the moment you have. I'm very excited to kind of, as I dive into this more, see these communities of people who are into certain moments. I was actually talking to Lawrence Jackson yesterday about a massively underrated moment, in my opinion, in the entire NFL was when Antoine Winfield threw up the peace sign over Tyreek Hill. That doesn't get talked about a lot, but this is essentially the same as when, Tyronn Lue got stepped over. And what I mean? Like, it's on that level. And I don't think people have realized it yet. So I'm curious to see how these moments are sort of cultivated and viewed by the communities of people, and just really dive into getting to know another segment of the NFL fans that I haven't met yet. So yeah, for me, it's just another way to continue to engage, and just be a better fan. That's kind of like our whole thesis.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. So I know fantasy Twitter is kind of a whole thing. There's a whole bunch of people on Twitter with NFL all day. A lot of what they do is on their Discord. So anybody who's interested or anyone who's curious, you can look up all day at NFL all day on Twitter. And then of course there will be a link to the Discord. You can go to the website, NFLallday.com. A lot of the stuff though is on the Discord. There's a bunch of channels in there. Once you own a moment, you can get verified and it opens you up to all the other channels. And I think that's where a lot of this information is coming from right now, is through the Discord. So again, anyone who's interested, anyone who's curious, there's a whole bunch of information and a whole bunch of stuff on there. You can also send us a DM, send us a Twitter, tag us on stuff. Me and Jordan both are definitely interested and willing to help out with that. So anybody who's new to this, which I'm guessing and hoping is a lot of you, this will be a great time. And I'm excited to start this ride with you, Jordan. It's going to be a good show. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the opportunities to just commune with you, to commune with more NFL fans, and just really kind of just dive into this. Again, just another way to engage. And like you said on Discord too, we have a Discord on IDP Army. I don't know if anyone's watching. If you're watching on this channel, if you go on our Discord and ask for a shout, we'll give you the link. We should have a link in the description of the podcast and of the video for this. If it's not here right now when you're listening to this, check back in a day. I promise I'll get that in there so you can join into the Discord and kind of begin poking around in there. And, if you're interested in that. So that's pretty much all I got as far as like an intro for the show. Again, if people don't know who I am, they can follow me on Twitter at 50 Shades of Drunk. And I'm just I'm just a regular old guy that likes doing fantasy football, that loves the NFL, loves my family. And, I love building cool, interesting things and seeing cool, interesting things be built. And I think NFL All Day 100% qualifies under all those categories. So, without further ado, well, what do we got on the agenda today, big dog?
Yes, sir. All right. So we're going to start with some news, and we're going to primarily focus on NFL All Day news for this, of course, being an NFL All Day podcast. There is some, like, this is a gap, I guess, for current time frame. If you're listening to this right now, we're at the end of April. We're coming up on the NFL draft. There's some pretty heavy speculation that there will be a new playbook and a new drop potentially around the draft. I mean, it hasn't been announced yet as of recording right now. We don't know for sure, but I have a hard time believing they wouldn't do something. It makes total sense to do something around the draft. We already know that the Series 2 is ending right now. Again, as we're recording, there's only one moment left. The Breece Hall moment, I think, is the only one left to be released, something like that. So the point of this is, like, we're right at a perfect transition spot before Season 3 or even Historical 2 finishes up and Season 3 gets announced. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming. We hope it's soon. It should be any day now. But of course, if you're listening to this a few days after, you already know the answer. You can tweet us and say, idiots, it came out. Why weren't you paying attention? That'd be great too. But just tag us. That's all I'm saying. The other thing in the NFL All Day world was there was a Richard Sherman live stream yesterday, which I thought was a really cool idea. Actually seeing him talk about the collection. I wasn't able to get the entire show. I wasn't able to stay. But what I was able to see was he was pretty excited. He got to rip some packs and kind of talk about players. And I know for a lot of the times, it seemed like every moment that he saw, he's like, why is that a common? That's not common. That's hard to do. And it just, the idea of watching Richard Sherman comment on plays was pretty sweet. So again, this is what NFL All Day can bring, is that the reality is a lot of NFL players are into this. Pat Mahomes, if you're watching on the screen, Pat Mahomes is a big proponent of this. There are some different ads that he's released. I know they had a bunch of stuff around the Hall of Fame game and things like that, with the I guess it was the anniversary of the catch for the Steelers. And they had Terry Bradshaw and Franco Harris and things like that, that are involved in the game too, as they were releasing a drop there. So lots of fun stuff with reality in the NFL. They're doing a lot more in the real world with regard to this. It's not just digital, which I think is a really neat idea. But that's really 100%. The only news that we had. But did you have anything else that you wanted to mention before we hop into this, Jordan?
No, news wise, I mean, for me, it's just we're in a weird spot, we're in that week where there's really nothing. If there's not a big trade, it's just speculation. I was actually, just side note, I was sitting here just contemplating, looking back on, when Jeff Fisher decided to take Jared Goff over Carson Wentz and how that was so ridiculed. But here we are all these years later, and it's just, the NFL is a curious place. That's all I'll say. So I'm happy to be here. I love being a spectator. and owning moments and getting more involved in this as a, getting my hands in the meat of it all. I'm about that. So that news wise, the news is that I'm in. I'm all the way in, and I'm going to be collecting hella moments this year. And we have some really cool stuff. On some later episodes, we'll tell you all about some things we have planned, but we have some things to hopefully interact with directly with our community of people who listen and watch this, as well as the fantasy community, and maybe make some, some gamification of the two worlds colliding for fun. So, but aside from that, I'm just happy to be here with you and continue to learn and kind of get to know this ecosystem more intimately.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And that's a great segue to our first down. And we're going to do this as 3 downs. We're going to talk about 3 things in this episode, probably every episode. We're going to try to bring you different sides of the aspects of things. But first down, obviously, we got to start with the basics. What exactly is NFL All Day? If you've made it in the podcast this far and you're 10 minutes in and you're still asking yourself, what the heck is this, right? I actually just released an article last week, or earlier this week, I think technically, for Dynasty Pros, dynastyprosfootball.com, where you can actually go and read up on a lot of this stuff too. But basically, the way I explain it to people, it's pretty much just digital trading cards. When you were a kid and you collected those football cards and it had your favorite Joe Montana card and it had him throwing the ball, had his stats on the back and things like that. It's this exact same premise, just with a digital twist. So instead of it being just a picture of a card on a card, it's a video moment, and we'll show you one later when we get to our moment of the week. But this is an actual play, or it could be a player melt, a team melt. It could be a group of plays. Some of the historical plays are things you definitely remember and have seen before. Some of the stuff, too, that they're releasing, they're kind of coming up with new ways to release moments and things like that. There's different angles to that. But generally speaking, what NFL All Day is a digital card collection. It allows you to collect specific moments that you can then, trade and buy and sell on the marketplace as well. So it's a really fun idea to use NFTs and non-fungible tokens in a way to say, this is your unique moment. It's serialized. It's entirely yours. You own that moment. It resides on the Dapper network. So it is still technically on their digital backend, but you don't need to worry about any of that. All you got to do is create a wallet, connect it to some sort of payment system, and you can go and buy this stuff. You can buy packs of cards or packs of moments, as they're called, and rip those packs and see what's in them. Some of the packs have the ability to have legendary moments, which are out of 10. Then there's the rare moments that are out of 2,500. Common is out of 5. I think it's actually out of anything over that. So usually out of 10,000. But there's even lower moment mints than that. There's moment mints of 5,000 that are still common. There's moments that are rare that are out of 350 or out of 125 and things like that. So there's a whole bunch of different things on the website. And if you're watching live, you can see Jordan scrolling the site a little bit here too. The idea, though, is you can buy whatever moment you want on the marketplace. They also have packs available on the marketplace. So you can go buy packs if you want on the secondary market and rip packs right now. So again, it's just such a fun time to be involved with this. And I think in general, it's just another way for collectors and fans of the game to get involved and to learn more about this sport. So Jordan, as someone who's kind of new, what are you excited about with this project and NFL All Day in general?
I just like the idea of just building a collection of like these highlight moments. Like, let's say, like I was talking to Lawrence yesterday, and there was he brought up Sterling Shepard, just a player, not somebody we talk about in fantasy a lot, not like a legend of the Giants or anything, but I have a relationship with Sterling Shepard because week 6, like in 2019, he won me a week, and winning that week was the difference between winning my fantasy league and not winning my fantasy league. So it's like, as a fan of Sterling Shepard, who has that memory, I might want to go back and buy that moment because it means something to me. And it's just having that ability as a fan to re-engage or relive these moments or be part of them again. That is kind of an underrated aspect for me. And I'm looking at these moments we have right here in the top 2 moments. And I hit the, buy a pack, starter pack. It's awesome. I mean, there's safeties, and I'm an IDP person. I am, defense is on the field just as much as offense. And it's awesome to see PJ Williams, a strip sack. People probably don't remember things like that often, but there it is, and it's something somebody wants to remember. Landon Collins, players that don't get a lot of pub, their names don't go out there. And these guys are on teams they're not on anymore either. So you're able to kind of get little pieces of a player's legacy and kind of build it out. So to me, it's about that, it's about kind of seeing. I'm probably going to see plays for players that I forgot happened. If you're one of these people that watches Red Zone, maybe you missed some of this stuff. So to me, it's just really about, again, engaging as a fan with what I already love,
So if you scroll down a little further, one more row to Ben Skowronek. Okay, this is where I want to talk about this for a second too. So these moments have different badges attached to them. You might be seeing this if you're looking live. There's the
Yeah.
one with the helmet that's green. That's the all-day debut badge. That means that's that person's or that team's first moment on the platform. It's the first time that they were ever minted on the platform. Think of it like a rookie card. It's basically the same thing. It's not necessarily a rookie card, but there is only one debut for a player or for a team. So that means that debut moment is the first time that thing was occurred on the platform. With Ben Skowronek, you'll notice he's got 4 badges. He's got the rookie moment because he's a rookie. It was minted during his rookie year, so he's got a rookie year moment or badge. He's also got the championship year badge because the Rams won that title. And then there's the all-day debut. So he's got 4 badges on this because it was his rookie year. It was minted during his rookie year. And then it's also a championship year and a debut. So Ben Skowronek has got 4 badges. I remember when that first came out, when they first won that title, right after that, they added the championship badges. And I was like, well, we've got our first 4 badger. I mean, Ben Skowronek, not a big name player, but something that, again, plenty of value in that. It has, has a lot of gamification that we'll talk about later on in other episodes. But that's something else to look for when you're buying these and when you're getting moments, is that they have different things that they're attached to. And again, these moments are still fun moments. They're still fun times to watch. It's a good sport. That's why we're here. So kind of using that to pivot to our second down of the day. Second down today is going to be talking about why is NFL all day. And the why is, like we said, it's because we're fans of this sport. It's because we want to talk about it more. We want to get more involved with it. That's why this whole thing exists, is to bring fans closer to the game they love. And so what we're here to do on both ways is to talk about how you can get more involved and be a better fan. This is a prime case of that, right? Ben Skowronek is somebody that I know in fantasy world doesn't have a lot of value at all, right? And even in this marketplace on all day isn't necessarily somebody who's worth a lot of value, so to speak. But if you find value in it and can get what you consider to be a deal on it, why not, right? And again, to talk about both ways, there's utility with the badges, but there's also speculation. Maybe there's some idea that Ben Skowronek gets traded to someone else. I'm using him as an example. But if you think he's going to get traded to someone else, his value might go up. Now you can own that moment and then profit off of it. You buy it for $3, sell it for $6. It's a whole marketplace. It's the exact same logic we use in dynasty and fantasy football. As you buy low, you sell high. It's the same logic. A lot of these players on here, and in this starter pack too, there's a lot of debut moments, as I'm sure you saw when you were scrolling. And again, watching the play here live, with what Ben Skowronek was able to do, this was not necessarily, this is, in December, this was not a championship game, but this play mattered to Ben Skowronek. If you're a Ben Skowronek fan or are Ben Skowronek himself, you want this play in your collection for sure.
35-yarder. I mean, and look at the clip here, y'all. This is what you're going to get when you're NFL all day. You can go on YouTube and type in his name and you'll get, some highlights or whatever. But what you're getting when you get this is a unique set of angles, well-curated piece of digital content right here that can be used, watched, enjoyed by a lot of different people. And like you said, it's meaningful. I didn't know what all these badges meant, but I mean, to know that he's like first 4 badger, that's cool, like that's something to look for. Maybe, shout out to I can't remember his name, the guy, he's on Twitter, I talk to him a lot. Can't remember his name for whatever. He's a Rams fan. Like maybe you want to get one of the Rams fans one of these, I mean, like just opens up a whole other world of fan and friendship, really, like fellowship. So I at this moment, just because I wanted to show, like, this is you get this same play from 3 unique, well produced angles. And it's yours, I mean, if you're a Rams fan and it's something to you, it's going to mean something to you. And there's only X number available.
Yeah, with the video playing, our audio gets a little choppy there, but you get the idea, right? So that's where we want to make sure that you guys understand this is something that if you're a fan of the Rams or a fan, like I'm a fan of the Bengals, right? And I've got all the different Bengals players that have been released. I've got the full team Bengals set, right? I've got at least one moment from every player of the Bengals. And there is some utility, we're hoping, coming ahead with team sets as this next series comes out. But again, if you really want to go in and get crazy, you can go and look up and see, well, okay, how much is this moment worth? How much is Joe Burrow's debut worth? How much is Jamar Chase's Super Bowl catch worth? Like, you can go look at all that stuff. You can go through the marketplace and take a look. There's always a ton of good stuff that you can find on there. And so again, the whole point of this, the why we do this, is because we love the game. And I love watching those plays. And having the ability to kind of own that moment and to go find it at any time I want on my own personal collection and go look at that moment and say, hey, let me pull that play up. And again, like you said, getting it from unique angles. This is all officially licensed through the NFL. So all of this stuff is from NFL Films. All this quality is high. There's audio on some of the moments too, which we haven't even gotten into. Like there's some moments where Ocho Cinco's talking to people. There's moments where, and Ocho Cinco actually runs you through the basics on the website. So like that's another live player that actually cares about this, There's a whole bunch of that kind of stuff. OBJ bought his catch himself, right? Like he spent thousands of dollars to buy his catch. How cool is that? You know what I mean? Like you can interact with the fans. I know Cameron Jordan was on an Ask Me Anything kind of a thing for people that had his moment. You could join that. And he was a great guy. I loved hearing him talk. I bought a couple more of his moments after we had that conversation. I'm like, this man's amazing. And
He's
so
a
it's just
treasure.
another way to engage. He's awesome.
He's
So
a
again,
treasure.
that's why we do it. And so that's what makes it kind of enjoyable, is this whole thing is meant to be kind of another way to learn about the sport and to get better at it. But I think you've already kind of walked through some of it here, Jordan. But the third down for today's episode is, how do you NFL all day? And I mentioned it briefly before. I want to make sure you hit on this again. You definitely want to go to the website, sign up for a wallet through Dapper. It's not that difficult. There is a little bit of steps to it, right? To kind of get your wallet connected to your email address, and they're going to send you a verification, all this. It's a couple steps, takes a couple minutes. It's not hard at all. Once that's set up and you have it funded with some money from a credit card, debit card, ACH, what have you, then you can go in there and actually pay actual money for these moments, right? And add them to your collection. I've got over 800 moments I've been collecting for the last 18 months, right? I've got a ton of duplicates, a ton of different things completed, almost, 13 different sets, I think, at this point. It's just so much fun. It gets addictive like any other collection does, right? You want to catch them all, right? And that's kind of the other thing, is that you can do this a number of different ways. So from that main page that you're on there, obviously you can buy a pack. You kind of started looking at that already. If you go to the marketplace and just click on that marketplace tab at the top, that takes you to the actual marketplace. These are live prices of players. And what mine comes up, and yours may be different, but mine shows Kyle Pitts for $2. It's a common moment from Series 2 in September of 2022. And it shows out of 6,000, $2 moment. I can go buy that moment for $2 right now. Right next to him, you got Troy Polamalu's debut moment in the historical series for $2. You can go buy Troy Polamalu's debut for $2, right? This is exactly what I mean, though. If you're a big fan of Chad Johnson, if you scroll down, Chad Johnson's debut moment, $3, right? This is the best time to join the platform and buy. These prices are insane. And I don't mean that like a car dealer. I'm saying these prices were a year ago were double, triple this, right? And as more moments get released, of course, it saturates. But the theory is, if you think that moment's worth something and you're willing to put it in there, go for it, right? The other thing you'll notice in the marketplace here, it tells you about how, or it says how many moments are it's out of, right? Out of 9,000 for Chad Johnson, for instance. It also say there 694 moments burned. Well, burning a moment means it removes it from the entire marketplace. It removes it from the ecosystem. So those moments are no longer around. So there's really only about 8,000 for that one. If you go on the left, which again, we're kind of blocking, but Cole Kmet has out of 10,000, but 2,600 moments have been burned for that. So there's really only 7,500 moments left. So again, as these get longer and longer and are on the platform longer and longer, and more people burn them, their value is going to go back up. So like I said, now is the perfect dip to join. And that's kind of why, again, I wanted to get in on this, because I think a lot of people are going to be joining now and are going to be looking at these going, oh, only $2. That's not bad. I'll buy that.
Well, doubling down on that too, like you said, so these moments get burned, a guy like Cole Kmet hasn't done much yet, so he only has 10 years to increase his value and make more moments. So if his debut moment has been burned at this rate and people kind of, make it more scarce, and let's say he goes on and has a Hall of Fame career, that's something that if, the intuitive eye sees and wants to be a part of, they can get in on it early. So I love that, the burning mechanism. That's something that I think a lot of
and burning is a lot of, and we'll get more into burning as we go through the podcast, but burning is a mechanism that they use a lot for challenges and playbooks and things like that, where they require you to burn some of the supply, but it allows the users to decide what they don't want or what they want to burn. So again, if you're going to buy a bunch of $2 moments, we consider that like firewood on the Discord, right? Like, I'm just going to burn some firewood. Like, this is cheap stuff. We're just going to burn it. But when you get to that low price, you start burning enough of it. Now the price goes back up, right? Because now the supply is limited. So it's kind of a way to help the user base decide what they do and don't want to burn. And there are going to be some lower mints in Series 3. We've talked about this. I know they've talked about it in the Discord. There's going to be a couple other things changing for Series 3. I don't know if we're going to see the 10,000 mint moments anymore, partially because it makes it so we have to burn a lot, which there is some pros and cons of that, which we'll get into again down the road. But the point being, when you're on the site and you're walking through, you click on buy now, it connects to your wallet, you pick the serial number you want. I know there's some people that really like low serialized. I myself am a big fan of the lower serial numbers because I feel like that might have a matter down the road. And hint, it does have a matter for Rumble, which we'll get into again down the road. There's some other games that come in with this outside of the technical platform of all day. But again, the idea here is you're able to go on the site and buy what you want to do. Go back up to the top, though, Jordan, and click on packs where it's under marketplace. This is something else I definitely want to mention as an intro to this. I know a lot of times the most fun can come from opening packs. I know when I was a kid, I loved opening packs of cards to be like, all right, what kind of card am I going to get? Am I going to get a rare card? Am I going to get a foil card? Is it going to be an autograph? Like things like that, right? So these are the pack. This is the pack marketplace where you can actually see how much it would cost to buy a pack. Some of these contain one moment. They're rewards from different playbooks, draw it up, things like that. Some of these are hot route moments that contain 4 moments. Some of them are, Super Bowl moments that are 5 moments for $21. You can get 5 moments. Some of those, if you click on any of the packs, just to kind of see what's in them, like you did before, it'll tell you what's in the pack. And if you go on any of these, like the hot route, perfect. Scroll down on that hot route pack. It'll show you, keep going. It'll show you what's in this pack. You can actually open this pack and get these legendary moments out of that hot route pack. And this is where it gets even more exciting because you can open a pack. You can pay $14 and open a pack and get a Christian McCaffrey legendary that's out of 79. There's only 79 of those moments in existence. You can see none of these have been burned, right? Woo. Yeah. TJ Hawkinson, Trayvon Walker, right? Like you can get some of these moments that are crazy rare. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, right? In that pack, there are some of these players that are still available in most situations. So again, then you've got rares like Darnell Mooney, Gabe Davis. You got Dalton Schultz debut, Isaiah Pacheco's rookie. So like there's a whole bunch of other stuff in this $14 pack that you have a chance of hitting, which is, again, what makes this so exciting. It's just so much fun. Now, again, the chances are pretty low, but just like in regular cards, that's the whole fun. That's the excitement. So I know a lot of people that like to buy packs. You can also buy packs and hold them and not open them and sell them at a later date. There's a whole speculative market on packs, just like moments. And as more moments get pulled out of packs, then maybe their value goes down, right? So the whole point of this, though, is it's just another way to have fun with this game. It's another way to do this. So again, the marketplace is something you definitely want to take a look at. The last thing I'll mention before we move on is making sure you know about the drops. I want to make sure I hit on this. We'll talk about playbooks and the other aspects there. But if you click on drops, it shows right now there is a live pack drop for the hot route. Okay. This is actually already sold out. This is the one that they just had open where you could buy it for $14 from All Day. And now people that bought it, since it's sold out, are just reselling it for that same $14. So you're really not even losing any money on the secondary marketplace here. But again, this is where you would go to find those new drops when they are released. Isn't that there are a lot of times too where NFL All Day will come out with a drop that's gated to certain challenge, certain restrictions or requirements. You have to have so many moments, or have to have so many sets, or have to have so much of whatever it is, right? And so that way they can allow the larger collectors to kind of get in on more of the speculative buying. It also incentivizes you to get a larger collection. So the drops, the marketplace, that's where I wanted to hit through today. At least if you're looking for something new to buy, that's where I start. And that's where I think everybody should start this. If you haven't had a moment yet, this is the time to do it for sure.
Love it.
Any thoughts on that, Jordan?
No, just kind of looking around. I mean, yeah, buying. I like the fact that they kind of close off certain drops and stuff to people that are participating. That's something that the broader NFT space kind of claimed they would do, but a lot of smaller. I mean, this is the NFL, so obviously they're buttoned up and they're taking care of business on the back end. A lot of other NFT projects are just kind of Wild West, shooting from the hip to talk about things like that. But they actually see people that are invested in the ecosystem, that are gaming the ecosystem, that are going out of their way to put certain packs of things together so that they can be available when the drop comes for new things. That's fun. That's engaging. That's taking people on a journey. That's not just that's not a one-click, buy moment on Amazon. You know what I mean? This is taking you through some levels of experience, and it's not just saying just because you have money you can buy this. It's saying you have to kind of do these things to prove to us that you're somebody worthy of owning this moment or having a chance to get this moment. So I think that's like a really kind of an underrated mechanism and something that I really, really like. And if it shows, if you're willing to put the time and effort into being a better fan and understanding what matters, not only is there a financial gain to be had, but you could literally get some of these very rare moments and be some of the only people on the planet to own them. I just saw that Joe Burrow hot route, there's only 50 of those. There's a player melt. So that's going to be a hot list of things. What if you get 2 or 3 of those? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, what if that happens? You have that ability here, maybe because they only let that open up to certain people and other people just aren't paying attention. So I like the whole concept of it, honestly. And like I said, you've sent me a few moments, and the moments that you sent me were awesome. I got a really awesome Mike Evans moment. He's one of my favorite players. Got a fun Kareem Hunt moment in there, which sucks that his career is what it is right now. He's still a good player, but we'll see what it is. But it's just it's fun to have those things. Just remember those guys. So I love it. I love the gamification aspect of the packs, and I'm interested to see what's coming up and if I'm going to be able to get to it, and if not, how I can get there.
Well, so here's the other funny part, right? So on that Joe Burrow moment, I was curious. So I went, you can click on the moment and it shows you how much there is still out there. So it shows there are 4 still hidden in packs. So you
Hmm.
can actually know that there are still 4 in the packs somewhere, not always in the hot route. They're in multiple different packs.
Yeah.
But also you can look on the marketplace and see the lowest ask currently for that Joe Burrow moment is $1,400. $1,400. That's literally 100 times the cost of that pack, right? So there's that potential for you to rip a pack and get a Lego, we call Lego, legendary moment, to get one of these awesome, high value moments.
Yeah.
There's also, again, we'll get into a whole bunch of the other stuff. I think we've covered a really good stretch of it today, just how to get started and what this means. But with that, I do want to bring up our moment of the week. And we're going to do one of these every week where we're going to mention and reference a moment that either one of us have kind of decided is really cool or really that we like or what have you. The moment of the week this week that I decided was the Arizona Cardinals, the rare draw it up moment. This was actually one that we did as a reward for a challenge. This moment is the classic Andy Dalton for the Saints, throwing 2 interceptions in a game. The first one, of course, here gets picked off, taken to the house. And the best part about this moment, in my opinion, is that dive into the end zone, right? He goes crazy diving into the end zone. You see the replay here on the screen if you're watching. And this was a big turn of events. The game was tied, and it describes all of this in the moment too. But the game was tied. This really mattered to the teams. And the best part is coming up right here when you watch Andy Dalton as he's standing there, bam, and the touchdown gets scored right behind him. I just love that angle of that moment. It's so beautiful. And then, of course, they go to the next play, the very next play, or not next play, next series, another pick, run back for a touchdown by the Cardinals defense. Like, this is just craziness that this even happened. This play was bonkers. I remember watching it live and just being like, holy crap, what is going on? And now I own this moment, right? I own a serial of this moment. I was able to buy this for, yeah.
That was a snatch. That was a snatch.
I was able to buy this moment for $21 on the marketplace. It's now worth $30. So if I wanted to, I could sell it for a profit, right? I'm not selling it. I'm holding. I love this moment. So again, this is our moment of the week. The Arizona Cardinals rare draw it up from Series 2. I really like this. Jordan, what do you think about this moment?
I loved it. I loved it for a couple of reasons. One, it highlights defensive players. Obviously, being the IDP head in the fantasy football world, love to see that. And two, it highlights a lesser known moment, but an iconic moment where he did that dive in the background. That's iconic. I mean, that kind of stuff matters. You know what I mean? Like, people don't forget that. Andy Dalton won't forget that. People won't let Andy Dalton forget that. I would love to be a part of that. And it does a couple of things too. It allows you to, instead of just being like, what's the right way to say this? In fantasy, we very much get involved in our players on our teams, but football is still a team game. It's about the guys who wear the logos, So people that don't play fantasy, people that don't care about Kyler, people that don't care about DeAndre Hopkins, but people who love the Arizona Cardinals, that moment is going to be special to them because they don't care who the person is, because it allows them to showcase this team at different times in our history has done some things that made us feel some type of way. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I had to pick this one because it was a defensive moment. I knew that you would appreciate that. But also, I just love that look, the angle they have where Dalton's like looking dejected and they're just diving in the end zone in the background. It's just beautiful. I'm a huge fan of that. And I knew as soon as I saw that, I remember putting on the Discord, like, oh, I can't wait to own that moment. Like, that's going to be such a good moment. And then the next series, I get another pick 6. So this is a great team melt for the Cardinals. There's only 458 of them, released that have been created. So again, like, it's just so fun to me. So with that, that's the end of our third down. We did not make a first down. We're going to punt out of here. So now we're going to get out of here. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. We got the Twitter handle at All Day Both Ways. You got me at Andrew Hall FF. You've got Jordan at 50 Shades of Drunk. Make sure you hit us up if you have questions. Find us on the Discord. I know I'm on there all the time on the Welcome Committee. I love answering questions. Find my article. I know I retweeted it. I'll put it out again. But with that, I guess, Jordan, is there anything you want to say before we call this first episode today?
No, I just think it's the beginning of something that's going to be really, really fun and fruitful for us both and for everyone who watches. Thanks for everyone who tuned in and who is listening. And yeah, ride with us and let's get some of these moments and let's build a little empire of NFL moments over here at All Day Both Ways.
Be a better fan. Let's go do it. I love it. Thanks so much, Jordan. We'll be in touch with you guys soon, and make sure you follow us on all the social medias. We'll see you next time.
Adios.